Listen closely to what I am about to say.
Welcome to Game Club, the podcast that's like a book club but for video games. I'm Dan, your captain in a swivel chair.
I'm Catherine, fake nerd and fake screenwriter. I'm very ill.
And I'm Charles, smuggler and nerf herder.
Welcome to episode 14. This week we played Pulsar, the Lost Colony. We're going to breeze right through. Pulsar's a game from Leafy Games Studios where you are on a ship cruising through the galaxy. We're going to put a pin in that for now, like we do every week, and head on into our Nerd Week. Charles, I want to hear all about your Nerd Week, as long as it doesn't have to do with Star Wars.
Well, I'm not going to lie down.
Please, no more Star Wars.
I'm not going to lie down. A bit of it has to do with Star Wars.
Okay.
Because I've been doing a lot of Star Warsing.
We got a bit of feedback. Friday. There was too much Star Wars in the last episode.
Apparently I'm just too much Star Wars, so I'll keep it real short. So the new set for Star Wars Destiny released, right? And I went to an event.
The feedback was from me.
And it was amazing, and I pulled a lot of cards and did really well. Done. I'm done, all right? That was Star Wars. Like, more happened, but I won't say it.
It's pretty good.
What else have you been doing in your Nerd Week?
So we had a board game day all together, which was lovely. We finally got it to happen. And the chief game that we played was Pandemic Legacy. Our first month, we played through January, and we lost. No one was surprised. But look, I think it's a really solid game. I'm really looking forward to playing through the next 12 months with you guys and watching the world go to hell as we show our ineptitude in curing viruses. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So finally got our hands on that and finally playing it, which as full board game nerds we probably should have done previously. But I'm excited.
I just want to make a note that me as the Dispatchio was probably the best part of the team.
Yep, the dispatch. Yeah, there was a lot of singing.
You were pretty good.
It got pretty grim.
I actually remember reading a review because, I went on to board game forums, I think, and was looking at the game. So I was like, wow, that's, it's the highest rated. It's got all these glowing reviews. And I said to Josh, we should really buy it. And as soon as he heard that you had to put stickers down and that, there was consequences and that you couldn't replay, he was out. He was not interested.
Yeah,
so I'm really glad we got a chance to play it.
We drew a card that a thing happened, and we're not going to say what happened, but we had to tear up a card. We ended up putting it in the burner of the barbecue, so that card is half a card now and is forever lost to all of us. Yep. I think one of you guys got the video for that.
Step.
I think it was that thing where if you looked at a board game, if you had a little card inside every board game box which said how many times you'd played it, realistically, even some of my most beloved board games, I've, maybe played 10 times. So playing a game solidly 12 times, I've gotten my money's worth out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like $10 a play, or, we got it all cheap. I mean, $5 a play or whatever, definitely worth it. Anyone that thinks that the idea that it's not replayable enough because it finishes it's ridiculous. You would be so surprised if your favorite board game you'd played more than 18 times, which is kind of the average amount of playthroughs I think we'll get out of it. So yeah, that's that. So highly recommended. And finally, you two have already watched the season, but I got to watch my first episode of Legion, the X-Men series, and was just fascinated by the whole thing.
It's pretty awesome. It
made choices that I just don't understand why, or what they were thinking, or who they were pitching it at. I don't understand who the audience for this TV show is. But the
it's a superhero show.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
It's like X-Men in very small letters. It's not hammering on the X-Men we all know and love.
I think it's part of this thing of peak TV where it's about having a smaller audience. You're no longer aiming for audiences of 10 million. You're aiming for really vocal, dedicated audiences of a few million. Yep. And I think it's nerdy enough that I'm interested, but it also isn't, Flash or Arrow or any of those really kind of boring superhero shows.
It's so boring.
Compared to, they just belong from a different era, and I completely get why people love them. But I want stuff that's kind of pushing the envelope a bit more and some awesome powers, and that's Legion.
First episode was just amazing. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. So can't wait for the rest of it. And I'll have plenty of time to watch it because I'm on leave for the next 2 weeks, just watching eps and putting together terrain and painting minis. So life's amazing. Excellent. And that's my Nerd Week.
Sounds like a very good Nerd Week. I went last episode. We talked about GGEZ or EZ as Catherine incorrectly pronounces it, which is a esports bar that opened
Australian
up in Melbourne.
ways coming through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I went down to GGEZ to watch the group play stages of Worlds League of Legends Worlds tournament, and ran into Juves, who's the captain of one of the Aussie teams, who unfortunately didn't make it to the international tournament.
Did you get your selfie with Juves?
I didn't get a selfie with Juves.
Were you trying to play it cool? Just like
we were trying to play it cool. Had a couple of beers. He's a really lovely guy.
Nice.
And maybe he can carry me through some games or something in the future, because I'm terrible. The food there, really good. The atmosphere, really good. The only downside, I would say, is you couldn't really hear the commentary on the TVs themselves. It's sort of a bit loud in there. Whether that's just from the hype of everything going on, people cheering or just people talking. It was a bit hard to hear the commentary, so you really had to be focused on what was going on. Whereas I think in most sports bars, you can usually hear the commentary from the TV, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the best person to ask.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know. I think they pause, they mute it sometimes. I don't think it's a big thing that the commentary is heard. I don't know. Whatever.
Movies tell me that sometimes you hear it though. So.
Well, that's probably my only frame of reference as well. Watching television and movies. If someone could please tweet at me and just let me know what happens in a real big boy sports bar.
Didn't you watch the fight?
Maybe they have.
Oh, but I guess that was the fight,
no.
so it was different. Everyone was focused
when
on
I was
the fight rather than
in
just the generic one. Yeah, the fight.
When I was in New York, I sat at a bar that had the basketball on in the background. And they had subtitles, so they had it muted, but you could read what was happening.
So
that's my contribution.
Well, speaking of basketball, was it? I've also been playing NBA 2K18. I got sent a review copy.
In that case, sounds interesting.
Yeah. I'll be real with you, and I think I let you guys know this before when we were playing board games, but I am terrible at... I'm not really even sure what basketball rules are and what all the terminology is. And this game does not... Yeah, this game does not do a good job at onboarding you. It kind of assumes you have seen basketball games before.
Mate, you've probably played NBA 2K17, 2K16, 2K15, and 2K14. So for people that are purchasing this, I feel like they've already NBA 2K'd pretty hard.
Yeah, I feel like the last basketball game I played was like a 2-on-2 one where if you got enough alley-oops in a row, the ball caught fire, and if you got more alley-oops...
is this a real game?
Like a video game, not in real life.
That's not how it plays in real life.
I think it was some sort of like Street Jam or something Jam, obviously. Whereas my experience,
Space Jam? Could have been Space
my experience
Jam.
of basketball after that is Space Jam or watching videos of Benny the Bull, who's like the Chicago Bulls mascot, doing flips and tricks and stuff, and that's about it.
I think there was a Futurama episode with the Globetrotters on it. Like future Globetrotters as well?
No.
Yeah,
that was Simpsons, wasn't it?
Was that Simpsons? Maybe they both did it. They could have both did it. You don't know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's both say we're right.
Yep. Win. Catherine and Charles, high five.
So look forward to that review. I think it's going to have to be a video review because I've recorded a bunch of footage of me playing, and it's a little bit cringeworthy, especially the way my character talks. Actually.
Yeah, if you were good at it, I wouldn't watch it, but I'm looking forward to watching you fail miserably at it. So
that's right. Yeah. Well, the game asks you like, where's your character from? So I was like, oh, Australia, of course. But I don't think that has any bearing on how your character talks or comports himself. So, he's a bit straight.
I'd like them to come in with like a tinny and like, just occurring all over the place. That'd be amazing.
You don't even know what Aussies do.
I don't.
You're too fancy.
Shoeies? They do shoeies, don't they?
Gonna do a 3-pointer.
I never understood why shoeies. Like, I know what they are, but I don't get them.
Because you got to show off your shoe deal if you've got a branded sponsorship, and this game has that. You can get a sponsorship with Under Armour, Nike, Adidas.
Yeah. So is shoeies, are they based on sponsorship shoes, and then just it became a thing that people did?
They are gross things that only Australians do.
I think they've picked up. Anyway, we should move away from sports because it's really not our expertise. Catherine, save us from this.
What do you got, Catherine?
Well, so I played the Rick and Morty VR game, which I loved. It is amazing. It feels like the show. It's just incredible. So that was through the Vive, and I think it was maybe about 3 hours gameplay. By the end, I was getting a little tired in terms of like having the headset on. There were lots of Easter eggs. I recommend it highly as a video game experience, but also just as a Rick and Morty experience. And my understanding is that it's basically some sort of variant on Job Simulator. So that was what Josh said. So which made sense because it felt a lot like that game in terms of making things and putting things together and general chaos and stuff. But yeah, I just thought it was a great example of video game IP work done really well, because obviously there is not a great tradition of that. A little bit. It is mostly contained to those. So it is, it's hard with VR in terms of all of that. Well, you can press the teleport button and then you go somewhere else, but you're going to lots of small spaces. So you're mostly confined to the garage, but you really don't feel like it's really not a problem. You do enough stuff and you get to do it, kind of go to enough mini areas that you don't feel constrained. And there's lots and lots of Easter eggs. Like I think I maybe only did half of them, but I would have happily continued mucking around in it to find the rest of them.
How's the writing? Because I know South Park's been sort of praised for being on point. The South Park game for being on point with its TV counterpart. Is this the same?
Yeah, it is. The writing. I mean, it's pretty basic. You do have a little wristwatch thing where you talk to Rick, and Rick and Morty turn up quite a lot. But it felt like the show. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I guess the highest compliment I can pay to it is that it felt like the show. Like, the writing didn't. It didn't really jump out at me, but it didn't make me go, God, the person writing this has never watched Rick and Morty. Like it felt like the show. And there was a little section where you got to kill those bureaucrat beetles that appear in the first appear in the first episode, and it was excellent.
It's like they're a machine. I have no respect for them. Oh, so good.
Yep.
Yeah. The galactic government.
Yeah. So there were lots of little callbacks and lots of little fun things. And I mean, my God, like I'm not, a shoot 'em up game person, but the shooting in VR, like getting to use your hands as guns basically, is just phenomenal. I'm like, yeah, this is I would never go back,
Yeah, I remember Charles playing the Star Wars one. We got footage of him actually moving his body to try and dodge laser blasts.
Really deep
just
because
and then you swung into our wall from memory.
Correct. You lose where you are, and you get a little excited, and you are. And that was because R2-D2 was being a goddamn punk. Like he was being a punk. To put a lightsaber through him, but that's neither here nor there.
And then, so on that note, I then got given for my birthday a little mini VR headset. One of those ones where you kind of put your phone into the front of it. It's not one of the specialty Samsung ones, but ones that's designed to kind of go with the iPhone, which doesn't have any, iPhone or Android, but doesn't have any official headset yet.
Disgust me with your I love, but that's okay.
Look, it's really interesting.
Apple's 3 years behind in their technology, but pretend
they'll launch it and take over the market. I'm actually really excited for Apple doing VR properly because it's it just means like when they launch something, they do it properly.
I know, and it saddens me. But then they fall behind. But their first launch is always so much sharper than anything else that exists.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. Like, I played a couple of little horror games because they're quite popular. Obviously it was nowhere near as good as the Vive, but it was fascinating to see, like, okay, so almost every phone on the market in 2 or 3 years, I will expect to be able to be put into a VR headset of some kind. And not that it'll be designed exactly for that, but my phone worked pretty well, and it's just a little iPhone 6. So, you don't have to get the iPhone X to have a VR experience with your phone. But obviously, the iPhone X will be the best one.
The iPhone X is only good for emojis, and that's pretty much everything it does.
Well, it doesn't have it's smooth all the way down to the bezel, and they're saying that they think a lot of that is because of AR and VR and using it for both of those so that you don't have any interruptions on the screen.
My essay literally already does everything that phone does, but that's okay. We'll leave that right there.
And you know what? The iPhone will still sell more than yours.
It'll outsell the shit out of it.
This week's episode, not sponsored by Apple.
And then my last thing is just that I've been playing a little game called Alpha Bear, which I can't remember if I've mentioned before. But it's one of those classic, pick it up, play it for a little bit while you're on the train and then put it down. It's just a little word puzzle game. Yeah, it's really cute. It's just making words out of letters and then you make your bears bigger and it's very satisfying. And I've probably played it more this week than any other game. So
Alpha Bear.
Including
Pulsar. You're not wrong. Oh, it's adorable. Well, it's got good reviews.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a very simple little word game, but it does what it sets out to do well.
That's all you can ask.
Sweet. All right, well, that's good Nerd Week, fam. Let's
Don't call me fam.
I know, I just want it noted that none of us approve him.
None of us are Dan's fam.
With the beauty of editing, no one will know you disagree with it.
I'm going to say it every third sentence for the rest of the podcast.
All right, bro. Let's go into the news.
Oh, Catherine, too early. What is wrong with you?
I was doing several newses.
Oh.
She was. Let her commit. You got to play with her in that space, Charles.
I cut her off.
Play with Catherine.
I cut her off so harshly. I just wanted one good one, Catherine. God damn it.
All right, do you want to try again?
Let's do it again.
Yep.
News.
I got a bit of news.
Let's hear it, Dan.
There's a game called Fortnite, and it wouldn't be all that interesting.
Hurts me.
Yeah.
No, because you're building a fort. It's genius.
Yeah.
It's a knight with a fort. It has nothing to do with every 2 weeks. I can't back that up in any way. I have no knowledge of the game.
It has to be
NIT.
NITE.
Oh, yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
So, the main reason why this is interesting, Fortnite would just be a sort of a regular kind of game. But the reason it's showing up in the news, this game from Epic Games allowed cross-platform play between PS4 and Xbox One. Now, previously, a lot of other games have said that this is impossible. A lot of games have claimed that PS4 and Xbox One, it's completely different. You can never work together. You can never connect together. And then it turns out, oh, whoops, we just pressed the wrong checkbox, and everyone got to connect.
Did it. It's amazing. So they've been saying something that's impossible for years, and these guys just accidentally did it. So it became very clear it's not impossible. And because who didn't want it to happen, Dan?
PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Sony.
Sony doesn't like playing with others, and I think part of their reason now they're backpedaling, saying that, it's because we want to be able to control our players' experience. They only agree to terms that we've set in, PSN or whatever, and we can't control the way the way Xbox users will interact with them because Xbox users are dirty and
they're animals.
filth-ridden, I guess.
I mean, I can kind of see the logic of that. No. I think what annoys people is that they lied about it. I think if they were and just said it's not possible where it clearly is, but the idea that, you want to keep your system closed and that, because, imagine that, just on a logistical level, you're playing on your Xbox, someone harasses you and you report them. That's then two completely different organizations with two completely different, customer service, harassment policies, systems, all of that have to somehow integrate. And I can see how that's just way too much fuckery to make work.
And also they want to sell more PlayStations. More importantly,
that too.
That's the real reason. Let's not pretend it's not. I mean, and that's fair. I mean, they're a business; they want to sell their product. So
if your friend has a Minecraft, is Minecraft even on PlayStation? If your friend has a PlayStation game,
it's on everywhere.
You're going to have to buy a PlayStation as well to be able to play with them, or convince them to get a PC. This comes amid Minecraft launched this year with their everything's going to be connected, Nintendo Switch, PC, Xbox, mobile phone, tablet, all of that's going to be connected. So as previously you couldn't, but now as any kind of user apart from PlayStation, you can play Minecraft with your friends.
Okay, so it's just PlayStation that isn't letting them do it. That's excellent.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty funny actually.
So Rocket League allows crossplay between PC, Xbox, and Nintendo. Now, granted, PC and Xbox are pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, the same thing. But Nintendo jumping on board, that's friendly. Good for them.
Especially with mobile phones in the mix as well. So your iPhones, your iPads, Android platforms, you're going to be able to play Minecraft, and I assume future games as well in that sort of same vein across all those platforms. And Nintendo is traditionally very guarded about its online services. They got that whole friend code thing.
Ones.
No voice chat. You can only send pre-rendered messages to each other. Yet they're still willing to come to the table, but Sony isn't.
But I mean, Nintendo sees the future, which is like, look at what Nintendo's big goals this year were. A lot of them were mobile games that weren't on Nintendo systems, and that, you couldn't have gone, oh, well, we don't want any iPhone users playing them. Like, I mean, I think it's just as long as you're controlling the product, then does the hardware really matter? Like...
It depends if your main business plan is to sell that hardware, which for Sony...
Yeah. For Sony it is, but for Nintendo, I'd argue that their hardware is starting to matter less to them now than their IP is. And, getting someone playing Mario on their phone or a Switch or, I think they care less about that now than they used to.
Yeah, it's all money.
Yeah.
Money's money. Yeah.
Cool. And real quick, my last bit of news, Divinity Original Sin 2 launched, got around 500,000 copies sold over their launch weekend, which is breaking all kinds of Steam records. First game was really awesome, and I'm super keen to give the second one a go. They smashed all sorts of Kickstarter stretch goals to just add a bunch of different game modes and content and all that kind of stuff into the game. And it's been really interesting to watch it. So I want to get on board that. And that's it for news.
Catherine, what's you got?
So I've got two little bits of news. One is about, it was covered in a few places, but a hotel in Taiwan that has announced that it is now a hotel just for gamers. So there are all these amazing pictures of like these, beautiful hotel rooms. And then right next to the bed, it's like 2 full gaming rigs with like proper chairs and full high-end PC. And it's just, I don't know how to feel about it.
I don't really see what the point is.
Yeah, like you could game at home.
If you have enough money to stay at that hotel, you could just buy yourself a gaming computer.
Yeah, well, no, it's not about the idea that they don't have a gaming computer at home. I think it's more about the idea that they're traveling, and to them gaming is important enough that they want to be able to travel and still log on and play League. Like, look, I'm not 100% sure.
Gaming. Yeah, I love gaming, but if you travel to another country or another city, like, leave the computer, go and see some things, talk to some people, eat some interesting food.
I think that's where I stand on it as well.
I 100% agree, but what if you are an esports pro traveling with your team? Would it be better to just have a gaming rig pre-built set up in your room as opposed to going to have to find a LAN cafe?
Because they've got to do their practice
to train. Yeah, they've got to do their practice and scrims and stuff. This is like the equivalent of having a basketball court in your room if you're really pro at basketball, which I clearly am.
Good analogy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that. It's the idea of gaming is becoming more and more of a thing where it's either your profession or alternatively, for most of the people staying here, it's more that they might want to go out and explore the city all day, but they want to come home and make sure that they don't fall behind in the rankings and put in their 4 hours. Like, I guess it's just part of a shift to gaming is something a bit more compulsory, but I'm not sure I like it. I also really enjoy, apparently you can rent the rooms by the hour.
So it's kind of like those places in Japan. Japan had very similar kind of things.
Well, I mean, I thought of something different. I'm like, the hour long and then just jump on and play some League. Like,
I've tried renting a room at the Crown for a couple of hours before, and they wouldn't do it. So that would have been really handy.
That's the wrong.
Was that on your anniversary weekend? Was it, Charles?
Emma and I were this is in our younger years, and we were very drunk and in the city, and we just needed a hotel room to have a quick nap. And we couldn't get one. And
just a quick 20-minute nap.
I know. Hey, 100%. I reckon that is what Old Man Charles would want.
That's what Old Man Charles definitely would. Just a cheeky 2 hours in the city, yes please, and then back to PAX.
Yeah, well, you've been to Japan, Charles. They have those kind of places already where you can get, essentially it's a LAN cafe or like a private booth with a computer, and you can get ones that have pod beds in there as well, and you can essentially just spend a couple of hours or even the whole day or night there. I guess this is just a step further where it is an entire building devoted to that instead of just maybe a floor.
Yeah, sure. Whatever floats about. It's a gimmick.
If that's your bliss, chase it.
Yeah.
What's your other news, Catherine?
And then my other news was, so obviously America is getting a bit screwed over by a few hurricanes at the moment. But one of the more interesting bits of news to come out of it was Tesla has quite a few cars that were down in Florida, or I guess they're kind of pretty widespread across America now. And they announced during the hurricane as kind of this really nice thing that they were doing, or actually I think Tesla owners noticed it, and then Tesla confirmed it. So they had artificial restrictions on the distance that your car could go. So like I'm obviously making these up because I don't have a Tesla, but like, let's just say it could travel 800 kilometers on a single charge. Tesla unlocked the ability for the car to travel further than that. So let's say 1,000 kilometers for everyone that owned a Tesla that was registered within the Florida region, to allow them to basically get away from the hurricane.
What do you mean it locks how far you can travel in your own car?
So well, that's the thing. It's basically, it's a little bit like if your computer had the ability to use, I don't know, a second RAM chip.
Oh, no. It's like your printer. It's like your printer telling you you're out of ink when it's not out of ink yet. So when your printer has sort of 10% ink left, it might tell you it's empty and can no longer print, and you need to go get a new ink cartridge.
It's not like that.
So is it a safety issue?
So again, this is a thing where you can upgrade it. So Tesla basically says you can pay them more. So you have the car, and Tesla's like, cool, you've got a car with this amount of range. Pay us an extra $5,000 to get the exclusive extra upgrade range, and you can get these extra. It's the exact same car. It's they call it crippleware. And people don't like it because of the feeling of, my car.
Just on principle.
Could go
insane.
further.
Oh my God, Tesla has created pre-order editions where you get exclusive in-car content.
That's disgusting. Genius. I really love Tesla, and I can't believe they do that.
Well, but it is interesting in that, so normal cars do it. It's just the only thing that's making you feel more strongly about this is that a normal car, you look at it and you're like, okay, well, I'm buying the $20,000 version, and this has, this much horsepower, or I'm buying the $25,000 version and this has this much horsepower. Like you know what you're buying and what you're doing, because
it's not
Tesla's
a distance issue though. Maybe the size of your fuel tank is what you're talking about there. But I mean,
okay, maybe size of the fuel
limitation.
Tank.
That's not a.
But that's the thing. So this is a software limitation, but it's no different to a car manufacturer saying, well, you chose to buy the one with the smaller fuel tank. The only difference is that they have complete control over upgrading you, and can. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, don't get me wrong, it rankled me, which is why I'm bringing it up, because it felt wrong. But then the more I thought about it, it's like, well, yeah, it is just like buying the model further down. It's just Tesla has the ability to upgrade those remotely, and that's what freaked people out.
Interesting, yeah.
This reminds me of, I think Capcom got in a lot of trouble for sending out a Street Fighter disc, a Street Fighter game, and then the downloadable characters that you had to play, like you had to pay to unlock, were already on the disc.
Yep.
So it wasn't even DLC. It was like, oh no, you've already bought them. They're on the disc, but you just can't use them until you pay extra money. This sounds a lot like that. Like you've bought physical hardware with the capability of doing that thing, but there is a software thing that is not letting you do it. Yeah. And that's why I referenced the printers before. That's a similar issue where you can get software workarounds so that you can use up to hack your printer to use up all of its ink, as opposed because printers make money off the ink renewals.
But I guess
and
it's
so
like
they're telling you.
With the printer
Sorry,
thing,
Dan.
it's every printer does that. Whereas this, it's like if you had bought a special fancy printer that could use that last 10% of the ink, but everyone with the model down couldn't.
All right, we need to move on, people. We're spending too much time on this one.
I just thought it was interesting.
But I'm outraged. But I don't know if I'm outraged on it. I need
Grab
to
some
take it away and
pitchforks.
really think about it. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crack on, and I'm gonna talk about the SNES Mini Classic. I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, but now that it comes out in only like 5 days, which I guess is this weekend. I'm super pumped and excited. So it's $120 Australian, which isn't too bad, I guess. 80 American, so that's fine. And obviously it has the great games that come with it. So if you haven't looked at the SNES Mini Classic yet, you should. It has a whole bunch of old school nostalgia games that are awesome, including like Zelda, Super Mario World, Mario Kart, Super Metroid, I should say, and Star Fox 2, which was an unreleased game, which I think is their real selling point here. And I think they're going to make a whole bunch of money, and I'm okay with that. And I want to give them my money. So nice and simple.
Are you going to camp out for one?
No, so getting my hands on it will be an issue, I think. What day is the 30th of September? Anyone do some simple maths?
Saturday.
5 days from now.
Saturday.
It's Saturday? Oh,
Yep,
geez,
it is a Saturday.
God, I hope not. I'm going to have to... I might do a little bit of lining up.
Might just cancel all of my social commitments.
That might be a thing. And then just
I think I'm most excited about Yoshi. I really want to play Yoshi's Island.
Is that on it?
The old school Yoshi's Island. Yeah, it's Super Mario World 2.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, nice. Oh, jeez. You going to come camp out with me, Catherine?
Get into speedrunning, Charles.
No, I'll play yours.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not camping out.
You got to wait in line with me.
No,
it'll be fun. It'll be a bonding experience. You're just like, fuck you, Charles. I don't need your friendship. That's fair. You're a piece of shit.
I'll play your game. I won't help you get it.
I see.
We put out a poll, actually, if people are keen on the SNES Mini Classic, and 20% said yes. But that means 75% said no.
Really?
So not a lot of SNES Mini Classic fans.
Yeah. Oh, it has F-Zero as well. Oh, damn. Oh, Mega Man X. Ugh, amazing.
I was a very poor child, growing up, and only had 2 or 3 games on my SNES. One of them being Mario All-Stars and one of them being Bubsy.
Wow.
And I think we ended up getting Super Mario Kart eventually.
Yep.
But all the other games I played, I think we had to rent from a Blockbuster. So I think 64, the Nintendo 64 was sort of my generation for branching out. SNES has a special place in my heart, but I'm not going to rush off to stores to get one.
See, I played them almost all on emulator. Like if I buy this, it would be the first time I've played any of these games legally.
Yeah, nice. I'm disappointed.
I just didn't have a console growing up.
I played a lot of Busby when I was younger.
Yeah.
You mean Bubsy?
Yep, that's the one. That's what I said.
All right, let's move on to the game of the week. So, Pulsar Lost Colony is an indie game developed by Leafy Games. It's a starship simulator in which players control a spaceship in an attempt to discover the lost colony. Players have the choice of classes, and up to 5 players may play at once. It's currently in alpha and hasn't got an expected release date. Now, we played this as 5, technically as 6. Josh couldn't get into our game, though.
but we heard him trying to get in.
He tried to play in VR.
VR.
Apparently, VR does not make a lot of sense.
That was his mistake. So I want to spell out a little what this game is from a visceral sense. So you've got your avatar, kind of first person view, and you're in a big spaceship, and you're actually in it. And it's got crew quarters, and it's got a bridge, and it's got all the different areas for the engineering bay and the reactor room. So it's got your whole spaceship and all the cool stuff that goes with it. And then in that spaceship with you are your 4 other friends, or 4 other players, or AI if you have no friends. And you've each got a role. So there's the pilot, the engineer, the help me out here, weapons person,
weapons specialist, scientist,
and the captain.
Pilot. Yeah.
Yeah, I already said pilot, Catherine. We all know about your piloting skills. So you each got a role, and you've each got your little bay and your own little section on the bridge as well, and you're doing your roles and working together to achieve things. Now, all I've ever wanted is this game, essentially. I just want to be with my friends on a ship, either in space or on the ocean, all with different roles, working together to achieve things. And this game gives it to me, and I found it so very, very satisfying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've
I
played
did not
this
have
before.
that goal.
It's big for me. It's big.
We had played this before in its earlier stages, and they've added some new features and
Felt
fixed
a
up
lot
the
more
UI
polished,
a little bit.
yeah.
It certainly has a lot more added to it. And I think there's some things we didn't get to. I think there's like an arena you can go to.
I'm sure there's a lot of stuff we didn't touch on, yeah.
Yeah, but we played, and so that one person's the captain. They sort of plot the course of where you want to go, what mission you want to do. The pilot, in this case, was Catherine to begin with, and we had to sub her out for Charles.
It was difficult.
Just needed Charles's spatial awareness, I guess.
Yeah.
And so he could line us up to where we wanted to warp.
And
our friend Ash was
on point in battle. Many
correct.
things.
Catherine did good. Catherine did very well at that. In combat, she kept the guns pointed in the right direction. The engineer has to charge the warp core.
The engineer manages the power across the whole ship as well, and does
and like if it has to manage the coolant, if the core is going to overheat, they have to eject it into space. Just like a good Star Trek kind of vibe. The scientist, who was being played by our good friend Jonesy, listener of the show, he's we weren't really sure what he did, but
I don't think he was.
He
really
did
sure
something.
What he did. He teleported to other ships. You can teleport to other ships, by the way, and he did a lot of that and shot
space
up the crew of the other
stations
ships.
Yep.
And planets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Charles had
So
a
it was
good time.
Charles just wants to play. The thing is, you want to play this. You want to play this game, I think, with friends. I think you're gonna struggle if you have to play with the bots. The bots AI isn't terrible. Like, it'll follow you around. It'll
Or
do
just with a
things.
pickup group, I guess.
Yeah,
Wouldn't be
that's
the same.
true.
Wouldn't be the same. It's the
I agree.
interactions that are the great thing. So the graphics of the game are pretty loose. I mean, it's a small indie team, or maybe even one guy putting this thing together, and
That's
the
a team.
scope. You don't know that? Oh wait,
Yes, I
Leafy
do. I looked
Games.
it up.
It's probably a team. Good for you.
I looked it
Good
up.
researching.
That's the kind of professionalism you get on Game Club.
Yeah. Getting
So it's
bagged
a
out
team.
for doing research.
I imagine it's a small team. Can I get a bit of a
Yep.
support on
It's
that
a
one?
small team. Yep.
Yeah, good. Small team. So, and the scope they've gone for is epic. Like, there's so many places you can go to and different things you can do. So
Well,
it was.
it's interesting. I reckon it's not actually as epic as you think, but it feels epic, which is the mark
Yeah.
of good design.
Yeah,
Like,
correct.
it
So the
feels like
graphics
there's
aren't
so many
great,
planets you can go.
but it's all about the interactions and gameplay, which I think are optimal when you're doing it with friends.
Yeah. They're very specifically, and they sort of mention this in their mission statement. People have asked them, is there going to be a PvP mode or a ship versus ship? However, they've said, look, no, we want to create a co-op experience that is just you and your friends versus the expanse, right? Like, and there is that. I mean, maybe down the track, if they get a bunch more interest, expanding that or having bigger ship crews could be really interesting. But I think 5 works well.
5
for a
felt
crew.
good. Yeah.
That was great. Yeah, there was enough room in the bar for like celebratory drinks after a successful mission. These are the important things that we did.
Yeah.
We role played a little bit. We played in the
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, just the bar, and you had your little cute crew quarters and where you could keep your stuff, and it all felt very personal and kind of fun.
You got an allowance from the captain. How cool is that? So the captain like tells you how much money you're allowed to spend when you have shore leave, when you get to a space station and you teleport over. Like, just cool little things like that make it really nifty. It's really nifty.
Yeah, and it was if you've listened to our FTL episode, you probably would notice a lot of similarities, except instead of you as an overlord controlling all your crew, in this game each person is one of those crew members, and they have that autonomy being a real person. So we came into contact with an enemy ship and we were shooting at them with the guns. I think
Was
the
this
science
the ship
officer
that we
was
tried to extort money from, and then when they denied and attacked us, we blew them up?
Who's to say what the captain decided,
Enemy ship.
what the captain did or didn't try and extort?
Definitely an enemy.
So the science officer, now I remember, can use virus programs to sort of reboot shields or sort of take down enemy shields. Catherine, I think, was piloting for us at the time, and
No,
we
I
teleported
was
over
on
to the...
weapons. I was on
Oh,
weapons.
you're on weapons?
Because I then blew you all up.
That's right. So we teleported across to the enemy ship. We started shooting them all. I think I died once. There's a respawn timer, similar to Black Wake, I suppose. And we went over there and we started we killed some of their crew and then just started shooting up their engineering bay, so their shields wouldn't recharge. They wouldn't have enough power, and then Catherine blew up their ship with us still on board.
I mean, she could have said, "Hey guys, the ship's about to blow. It's time to get
said
off."
It's almost dead. I'm pretty sure the record will show.
Having fun.
The record will show. I was like, the ship is almost dead, guys.
Yeah, but I thought you were talking about our ship, because our ship was almost dead.
Yeah, we were losing. We were losing that match until we teleported. Like, I just dropped the pilot controls. I'm like, that's it. We're going over. Mainly because then we'd survive in their ship if ours blew up. Was my chief concern.
True. It does have that option. So if your ship blows up, you can hack into the enemy ship by just sort of standing around their consoles, and you can take them over and sort of continue on.
So good.
Other aspects of the game we didn't really get to is sort of if you do stupid things like we did and you lose sort of faction points. There are a couple of different factions.
Yeah, reputation.
So there's the Alliance of Gentlemen, the WD Corporation, and the Colonial Union, as well as some other sort of neutral factions. And you can kind of burn a lot of bridges by being a dick, which, or you can go and do missions and sort of gain favor. All the while, though, the longer you play, there's sort of like an encroaching alien force, I think, that sort of starts infecting the galaxy. And so the longer you play, that sort of starts taking over more systems if you don't do the main storyline or something. I'm not really sure what the end game goal of this is, but
it's to find the Lost Colony. It's in the title.
Well, thank you.
Deep burn. Holy shit, I want to find the Lost Colony. I really want to play this more with you guys. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of missions, like smuggler missions.
It's got so much potential.
Yeah, there was like a mission we had to go get a dehydrated sandwich.
Can we redirect the podcast to be only about Pulsar and our missions and adventures?
I don't think so. However, I did capture sort of an hour or so of our gameplay, so I might chuck that up on the website, or
you should edit some of it in
to patrons. Yeah, I'll definitely edit the footage in for the YouTube channel. But if you want our weird commentary of us, our comms as we play it, you might have to support the show or something. I don't know. It gets a bit loose.
just a smidge. Yeah. So any just strengths of the game. Look, there's plenty of weaknesses. Like let's be honest here. So it's in alpha version. So the shooting is not tactile. I mean, the little laser bolts running around and it's there's a lot of unpolished stuff in the game. But what it does well, it does excellently.
And the feel of it is really fun. I mean, I think my main issue with it was actually kind of UI/information based in terms of let's just say Charles had gone down to a spaceport and was accepting a mission. Other than him kind of reading it out to us, which was often confusing because you're doing other stuff, nothing popped up on your screen. There wasn't anything about the captain has accepted or and you could see the list of missions you were on, but it was very kind of, it's oh no, we're going over here now, and you often had no idea why.
I think it relies upon real world communication and real world interactions. So, I know, right? So if you're on a real spaceship and your captain accepts a mission, you don't just automatically find out. He has to give you orders. He has to let you know what's going on. And I think that's what it's based around, is that hierarchy of control.
I just wanted that little bit more of information, I guess. No, I didn't need to know what I needed to do as the pilot, let's say, or as the weapons specialist. But I just wanted a little thing of these are active missions down the bottom of the screen, because that was what, I could still get that info. It was just a few steps into the menu. It was just an ease of access thing. Because I think if they wanted you to not have any of that and for it to just be that Dan had that information, they wouldn't make it so that you could see it in your own screen. It was just that it was, to get there was really hard.
Seems nitpicky, Kevin. Seems nitpicky.
Well, it kind of went across the game.
The UI itself needs a bit of work.
Yeah.
It's fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it as well, but not as much as Charles.
From what Catherine was saying, if someone on your crew accepts a mission or completes a mission, all it comes up with on your screen is mission accepted or mission completed. It wouldn't give you any information about it. There wouldn't be a little, quest description in the top left-hand corner if you're on a mission, for example. Also, finding the location you had to go to was a bit tricky, and sometimes some quests had a little search magnifying glass. oh, this is the area you need to go. Other ones would just say, get to this space station. And you just have to look at the map and find it, which I'm not sure if that's their intent, because they offer both options there. But it was a bit difficult because there are hundreds, it seems like hundreds of places you can teleport to.
I'm more okay with that one. I guess like, oh no, I actually have to look around the galaxy to see where we go. The mission accepting one was just that it was really easy to feel like, let's just say I was on the ship doing something and fixing something up. For everyone else to have accepted a mission, handed in a mission, decided that we were going somewhere else, and kind of like you'd hear snippets of it from the voice chat, but yeah, just that you wouldn't get that info on your own screen in a really concise way.
Yeah,
fair enough.
What does the weapon specialist really need to know?
Well, that's it. Just keep your nose in the guns and keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. I mean,
keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah, stupid weapons.
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty, indeed.
So jetpacking rounds, a lot of fun. The talent points are kind of fun. You level up in this game. You get talent points you can put in to different classes. I didn't really like the talent points. Didn't feel like you'd made an improvement. Like some of them were just sort of, you have percentage more health, or your gun does a little bit more damage.
Yeah, they weren't overly impactful.
Yeah. I think maybe if they had some stuff that was... They had a couple of talents as like this one specifically for pilots. It helps you steer the ship better. But maybe if it gives you an activatable ability, something like that would be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like a boost that suddenly you go faster for a bit, or that kind of stuff. That'd be cool. So this game essentially... Oh, yep, Kevin.
Oh, no, I think also the other thing that... I know it doesn't quite tie into the idea of like the captain and missions and stuff, but I wanted the feeling of like... you decide to do a thing and you all have to press OK and then talk about it. Like, not so much
Catherine.
No, not democracy. Like, I still want the captain to be in charge, but just that there are a few more things where, like, as a crew, you genuinely have to decide something together. Because that was what was happening over the speeches. Okay,
when we get spaceships, Catherine, and you're my crew, I make the decisions. You do what you're damn told.
Well, how about the system like Blackwake, where you could start a mutiny?
Yeah.
So if enough of you voted that you could put yourself up for captain, and if enough people voted, you would get booted out.
Out the airlock.
Someone else would take over the captain.
It was missing an airlock. Were there any airlocks on the ships? I don't think there were.
No airlocks, because it was all teleporter based.
Yeah.
Can't kill down like I want to.
Yeah, so this, but it's coming, Catherine. So this game was the poor man's Star Citizen, essentially. If you don't know what Star Citizen is, it's a very, very ambitious space game that's trying to do it all, and essentially be, your free world space game with everything that entails. I don't think it will ever actually get released, but we'll wait and see, because the development has been out of control, and there's a crazy personality in charge, and it's all kind of awesome. And some people think it's going to be great. Some people think it's never going to happen. There's been lawsuits. It's amazing. So this is your real like budget version poor man Star Citizen that's playable right now, and a whole bunch of fun. So that's my take on the game. So for me, it's something I definitely wanted to play and had a great time and want to play it again, and we'll force you to do so.
Yeah, I think maybe if we revisit this game every sort of 6 to 12 months, once they've added more and more features, we won't get burnt out on it.
Well, I can't recommend this game to everyone. Like, there's nukes, and the captain has to like authorize nukes together with the weapon specialist. Like, these are little things I want to do in life, Catherine. I want to achieve them, and I need your help to do that.
We need you, listeners. We need you, Game Club listeners. Yeah. To go out there and help Charles form a crew in Pulsar Lost Colony. And give us reviews on iTunes, because that really helps the show at the same time.
Pulsar and iTunes. Both.
Pulsar and iTunes, I think, should be your main priorities. So let's move on. I think we've covered majority of the game. If there's teamwork kind of games and you've got some fun friends like I seem to have, or at least fun co-hosts, then this is a really fun game to play if you communicate well and you can just get into the spirit of being a crew together. You're the crew of the Firefly, you're the crew of the Enterprise, whatever. Great time, but definitely can't recommend it to everyone, as it is a game in alpha and it has a lot of polish left.
Polish issues
to hit it. Yeah. Writing issues and stuff as well. So, what are you guys' final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm obviously sold. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Had a great time. There's a lot of laughter and a lot of teamwork. That's all I ask for in life.
And a little bit of abusing Charles when he tried to pilot through a warp gate, and just like, I don't want to say he missed every time, but his piloting was flaccid and
It
didn't
took me a good
penetrate
2 to
the
3
gate.
minutes to get into that warp gate. Like, putting
Also,
things in holes is really difficult, guys.
Also, you're coming at it from the wrong end. You end up having to like reverse out, go back around. Oh, that's the wrong
entrance.
hole.
I think that's what we were screaming at you as you were trying to pilot.
Which probably doesn't help with piloting. I don't know.
No, stress is never good.
You
It was
backseat
really stressful.
pilots.
I was having a really hard time, and you weren't making it easier. So it was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that's what you get.
I give this game 4 Captain Swivel chairs.
Yeah,
Out of
that's a
what?
good amount of Captain Swivel chairs.
Just 4.
Just-
It doesn't need to be an
four.
hour.
That's fair.
How reductive of you, Captain. Jeez.
I'm sorry. I give it
Okay.
5.
Yeah. Ambitious.
So make sure you
Probably
check out our
too many.
YouTube channel. You'll be able to find links in the doobly-doo to check out us yelling at each other, or check out the footage of us playing, and then decide for yourself if you want to, partake in those kind of shenanigans. Especially if we do a call out next time we want to play. You definitely want a full crew going into this.
Yeah, definitely.
One last note on it. I don't know when I bought this game. Like, when I was looking at games that we all had in common, I was like, what on earth is that game? And so as far as I'm concerned, it just appeared in my Steam library randomly. So maybe it's in your Steam library randomly.
Maybe it's in everyone's Steam library. I think Dan and I got really excited about it like 4 to 5 months ago, or maybe like
Did
a year
we
ago.
buy a 4-pack or a 5-pack? Like some kind of deal?
Or maybe we forced Catherine to buy it while she wasn't paying attention. Like how you guys use my eBay to send me like wolf t-shirts. Could have been a similar scenario.
I did do that. Okay, according to my Steam receipts, I bought it last year in August. I have no memory of buying it. I've never played it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it was a free game. So,
It's the magic of Pulsar.
yeah, it just turned up.
Yep.
Yeah, how do you... Oh, man, I want to know now. How do I check my receipt?
Well, if you, I was in my email, but if you,
Oh.
I bought it in August, so if you bought it then, we probably
Emma
planned to
goes
play
through-
it together.
Yeah, Emma goes through and
Yeah.
deletes all my unimportant emails that she deems unimportant because it stresses her out that I have thousands of unread emails in my Hotmail
That
account.
stresses me out.
So Game Club fans, if you've been sending Charles unsolicited fan emails, they're just getting deleted.
Correct. Or at least Emma probably reads them and then they get deleted.
Yeah.
All right, game. Let's move on to game recommendations.
Yeah, so my game recommendation is a game that I haven't actually played, but I'm really keen to, and I'm always umming and ahhing about it. It's called Elite Dangerous. This is the other poor man's Star Citizen that is actually a playable game, and it's another space game, but it's a little more polished, a little more modern, and AAA-ish as compared to an indie game. So if you're well into your spaceship and space exploration games from a first-person perspective, check out Elite Dangerous.
I would recommend Star Citizen because of all the reasons Charles mentioned before. It does have playable aspects, but it's certainly not a full playable game.
Yeah, it's not a game. It's a demo.
It's sort of demo modules. Like there's the ship module or the you're on a space station module.
Do they have the first-person shooter module yet that they showed us like 2.5 years ago or whatever?
They do, but it's separate from the ship flying module,
good.
I'm pretty sure. But that game promises to have a lot of these kind of features where you will have a pilot and, someone in the gunner chair and then someone who is part of the ground team that is going to storm the space station while the pilot does laps or something. And if that happens, oh my God. However, not holding my breath on that one.
The main quote from the guy is, I don't want to build a game. I want to build a universe. Well,
No.
shit, mate. Yeah, I know, right? It'll be amazing. Like it's the game guy who did Freelancer. Do you remember when we played Freelancer in high school, Catherine?
No.
We got
I
deep
don't.
in it. It was amazing. Oh, you endlessly disappoint me. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
You probably didn't. Piece of shit. So
Yeah, I'm the
I've been
worst.
really mean today.
Freelance Alpha 1-1, you are cleared for landing. Love that game.
Love that game. It's because you're sick.
I feel like you guys played it without me.
Almost definitely. So it's he just wants to do everything, and it will be the best thing that's ever happened if it actually happens.
Yeah, there'll be a universe in which that is a finished game, but it may not be this.
And I mean, you're not worried about it becoming the No Man's Sky of hype? Like...
No, because he's actually trying to achieve all the things he said, whereas No Man's Sky just said a lot of things and then didn't try and achieve them.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's the difference.
That's what you're justifying it to yourself as.
Also, I think it's like it's still raising money. Like it obviously made millions on Kickstarter or something ridiculous, and now it's still selling ships. Like you can buy the in-game ships for when the game releases.
If you want to spend $500 on a ship, Catherine, you can right now. You may never get to fly it, but you go spend that $500.
I mean, that sounds like a good investment.
Pledge now. All right, Catherine, you got a game recommendation for us?
Yeah, well, so mine are... I obviously don't play this kind of game very much, so I don't have any that I've played particularly. My recommendations are, one, if you liked this, that you should watch Firefly, because Firefly is great, and it feels more like Firefly than many other things I've played. And it just kind of has that vibe of like crew working together and fun shenanigans and exploration.
We can name ourselves Firefly people next time in roleplay.
That's very exciting. Actually, we should do that.
BSG characters.
Be what characters?
BSG. Nah, it's more Firefly than BSG.
Nah, it is more Firefly,
yeah. I want to be the cute engineer chick. Yes.
And then my other one was, I was reminded a little bit of some kind of moments of Mass Effect, because obviously you've got a crew and you're running around, going to space stations and doing missions. So, I mean, that's obviously a RPG single-player version of it, but I think, it's got the same kind of vibe. So, yeah.
And if your friends are open to it, romancing possibilities.
We could have roleplayed some weird alien forceful romance.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, you can be Mikey Harris.
I could have done it with Dan. I don't need
Please stop.
Okay.
I'll recommend two other games really quick. If we're going off tangent from video games, try Space Alert, the board game, which is all about warping into an area and then working together as a crew to try and defeat the enemies. And like Pulsar, you warp and you're often thrown into these situations. You've got to react before your engine can warp again. And then another game which I haven't played but really want to play with you guys is Star Trek Bridge Crew. I think we mention this almost every week on the podcast. I want to play it
so much.
I'm not even a Star Trek guy.
I've been promised my virtual reality room in the next house that we live in.
Is this like your man cave though, Charles? Because I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I know, right? She's full of lies. The harpy.
You'll move house when your daughter moves out.
yeah, that's it. Joke's on her. We have to move every 2 years. So it's happening. And then, Dan, I will make you get a VR system as well, and then we'll play it with Josh, and it will be the best thing that ever happened.
And possibly Catherine.
Maybe Catherine.
Yeah, I mean, depending. Yeah. I won't have a VR system. I barely have a computer.
Oh, you could play it on the iPhone, I'm sure.
Maybe your iPhone X will play it on your cardboard face thing.
Fuck you guys.
No, Catherine, our very best friend. Quiz time.
Quiz time.
Oh, yes. Quiz time. Quiz. All right. Are you ready?
No.
I'm ready.
Good. All right. So my quiz is space themed, but it's also Pulsar themed. So I've combined the two.
I know very
Is it prison Pulsar themed? Is there a prison thing?
First up, what is a pulsar?
Oh,
it is a star.
Oh shit!
It's a star that's like releasing neutrinos or some sort of energy blast.
It's electricity thing. That's what I said.
No, I'm going with Dan. Dan gets that one.
Well, I mean, that's less.
It's going to be one. No, I'll give it 3. I'll make it 3. I haven't decided on my point system. A pulsar is a neutron star that spins rapidly, beaming out regular pulses of radio waves. That's a simplified version. I don't know why the game is called Pulsar, but that's what it is. Maybe that's where the Lost Colony is. Spoilers.
Solved it.
How long does it take for the sun's rays to reach the Earth?
12 days.
18 days.
8 days.
All right, so what were the final answers there?
I'm going with 8 days.
All right, well, I'll go with 12.
No, Dan with 18. Stick him at 18, and whoever's closest gets it.
So it takes 8 minutes. It's the speed of light. So, you know what? Honestly, neither of you get that one.
You know what's is really bad. We're highly educated, but you know.
Educated. I have several degrees. To be honest, I'm not sure I would have gotten that one.
Yeah.
I've seen that Cillian Murphy movie where they go to the sun. I'm pretty sure he says it's 8 days.
To travel there, we're talking about the rays of light.
Whatever, Gavin, I don't have time for this. Next question. Wait. Technically, it's closer.
I'm not giving that to anyone.
This is bullshit.
Look, if you had said a day, maybe, but you were both so off.
I want the points, Captain.
You're not getting them.
Fine.
Next question.
Worth a point each. What are the 5 roles you can play in Pulsar?
Oh, pilot.
Captain, pilot, engineer,
scientist,
weapons specialist, and scientist.
I finished first.
All right, I'm going to give Dan 3 and Charles 2.
What?
Yes.
I finished first.
6 points, bitch.
This is out of control. This will not stand.
This is how I felt that one where you made the last question worth a lot. So take that.
I see. No, that's fine.
What is the largest planet in our solar system?
Jupiter.
That was at the same time.
It was. I'm going to give neither of you the points.
That's fine.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
An astronomer called Jocelyn Bell Burnell detected the first pulsar star. What year was this? And the closest person will get the points if you don't get the exact year.
I want to say it was 1962.
I'm going to say 1961.
It was 1967, so that's Charles.
Yes! Oh, we were both pretty close, though. Look at us.
Yeah.
That was not an 8-day situation at all.
What is
3
the
points,
hottest
right? 3
planet?
points. What's the score?
Yeah,
What's
3
the score?
points. The
So
score
it's
is
5 to 6 because you
5 to
screwed
6.
me.
Charles, it's 5 to 6. Yes.
Yeah.
What is the hottest planet in our solar system?
Oh, it's a,
Planet.
I wanna
The
say
star doesn't
Mercury.
count. I'll tell you, the star doesn't count.
yeah, I'm going to go Mercury.
Venus, then? Because I already said Mercury and Charles just cut me off.
I think it might be Venus.
And it is Venus. Dan, 3 points.
Yes!
Right?
That's what you get for cutting me off, Charles!
It's the second one, isn't it? I had in my mind that it's the second one, but I'm like, that can't be right. It's a trick. My mind's trying to trick me. Okay, moving on.
Anyway, what is Pulsar a portmanteau of?
Say again.
What is Pulsar a portmanteau of?
Can you explain to me what a portmanteau is?
Portmanteau.
It's a combination of 2 words.
Oh, pulsating star.
Yeah,
Well done, Dan.
correct.
Well done. Portmanteau?
Well, I mean, maybe I should have made the question, what is a portmanteau? And then my follow-up should have been, what is Pulsar?
I think some of our linguistic fans of Game Club are just rock hard right now.
Rock hard.
6 to 12. All right. I'm not doing well.
I mean,
but I'm
12 to
okay with
5,
this.
technically.
Yeah. Okay.
I will give the point.
I see what you did there.
I will give you the points to the person that's closer. A person who weighs 80 kilos on Earth would weigh what weight on Mars?
Oh, I'm going to say 72.
I'm going to say 37.
And Dan is correct. You would weigh 30.26 kilos, so he was not far
Oh, no
off.
shit. That was
Not
actually
far
very
off.
close.
Good for you. I was very
Charles,
far off.
will you ever teach science?
No, never. Thank goodness.
Good.
I'm an English teacher. I can tell them how to write poems about space.
You can't tell them what a portmanteau is.
In my defense, that's ridiculous. But,
Is
moving
it?
on. Yep.
With 1 point per answer, what are the 5 factions you can play in Pulsar?
Oh.
League of Gentlemen.
Yep, the gentleman one.
WD
Yep,
Corporation.
WD Corporation.
Colonial Union.
Colonial Union.
I'm giving Dan all of these so far.
The Cyborgs. And
Nope.
the Creanthians.
No, stop.
Well,
Charles, you're
mine
getting
are better.
minus points.
Oh, no.
I thought it was only 3 because that's what I said in my roundup of the
It
game.
is.
Well, so
She's
and there are
pointing
2
out your
more.
mistakes, Dan.
There are 2 more that are coming. All right, but I'll give Dan 3 points there. So that was the full. There's also the Fluffy Biscuit Company and the Polytechnic Federation.
I like the Fluffy Biscuit Company.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
And for our last question, I mean, it's not exactly a nail biter.
Oh.
What is the orbital period of the moon?
Oh, here we go. I'm going to say 12 days.
Jesus. I mean, who knows?
Wait, it should be really fast, right? Maybe it's like 4 hours. I don't know.
Orbital period. Ooh.
Because a satellite goes around like 5 times a day, doesn't it?
Satellite's a lot closer.
Do you know what an orbital period is?
Is that how long it takes to do an orbit?
Sounds messy and uncomfortable. Yep, I'm going to stick with...
The question is it in like an elliptical?
Wait, 30 days around. Yep, I'm going to stick with 30 days.
After 4 hours.
I'm going to go with 24 hours.
Okay, it's 27 days, so Charles gets a rare victory.
Yes! I would say that was worth 12 points.
I wouldn't.
I would not.
Maybe 27 points for each day it goes around.
If you were close, I had another question, but it is 18 points to 8.
Who's your captain now, bitch?
Yep,
it is Dan.
You are.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening to our shenanigans on this podcast. It was a little bit loose, but so was Pulsar. So I think
so was Charles's fucking piloting.
Thanks for listening.
The quiz itself wasn't very close, but do you know what was close, Charles?
What was close, Dan?
The poll of the week for next week's game.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you, Dan.
Yep.
About 2 hours ago, I got on Emma's phone and tried to give another vote to Evil Genius, but I'm pretty sure you'd already closed the poll.
Possibly. No. I think I restrict it by IP address.
Oh, damn it. I should have got off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Curse my lack of knowledge of technology.
So we asked you, the readers, and I guess Charles and all the different bits of technology Charles can
Well, it's just one Charles, because he couldn't work it.
Because he fucked it up. Which game you wanted us to play next? It was out of XCOM, Enemy Unknown, Evil Genius, and Undertale. XCOM came ahead with 42%, Evil Genius at 37%, and Undertale at 21%. So it looks like we're playing XCOM, Enemy Unknown.
Ugh, I'm really excited about it.
It was the only one I didn't want to play in that list.
Well, should have got some friends to vote harder or worked out how IP addresses work.
I voted 3 times. I can figure it out.
I voted 3 as well. Who were the other 2 mystery votes? We'll never know.
No, I think it was more than that. Like, as in, I think there were more listeners, but I shouldn't have voted for Undertale. I backed the losing game.
Did you vote for Undertale? Oh,
I like Undertale. I really want to play Undertale.
Catherine, we should have joined teams to defeat XCOM. Classic Catherine and Charles.
We'll figure out if we want to put up another poll or whether Evil Genius is close enough. We'll put out a call to you guys in the Facebook group. Make sure you like, subscribe, and maybe leave us a review if you thought it was kind of fun, if you did better than us at the quiz, if you want to hear us play more games. I think
anyone could do better than Charles.
Impossible.
And head on over to patreon.com/NFGlive, and I'll probably pop up the Pulsar gameplay and some of Charles's amazing piloting skills there for patrons to have a look at.
Enjoy me putting things through holes.
All right, that's all the time we've got for this week. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.